It is 9:44 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's the 11th day of the 11th month of 2025, and this is episode 1208 of Bitcoin, and this is going to be a short one. Simply, it's Veterans Day. My kids are home from school, so we're just gonna dispense with the pleasantries and get right into it because I got a couple of gems here, man, and we're gonna start it with this one from Helen Parts out of Cointelegraph. China has raised the alarm and has alleged the United States played a role in one of the largest Bitcoin hacks. If you didn't get that, China is accusing the United States government of hacking some Bitcoin. We've entered a new phase. Let's just put it like that. Okay, so Helen Parts from Cointelegraph goes on to say this. China's National Cyber Defense Agency has made big claims around the alleged role of the United States in the multi-billion-dollar hack of LuBian, once a major Chinese Bitcoin mining pool. The Chinese National Computer Virus Emergency Response Center, or CVERC, a state-backed cyber defense agency, on Sunday published a technical analysis report on the 127,272 Bitcoin stolen in the LuBian hack. Although that hack occurred back in December of 2020, it remained largely unknown to the public until recently, with Arkham reporting it happened. Arkham reported in August that it was the largest ever Bitcoin hack. The CVERC's analysis came weeks after the United States filed a civil forfeiture complaint for 127,271 BTC, worth around $14.5 billion, in a criminal case against Prince Group founder Chen, who reportedly owned the BTC held by LuBian before it was hacked. While formally filing to seize the $14.5 billion in mid-October, the United States government had already been holding the assets in custody, according to the indictment statement. Quote, "Those funds are presently in the custody of the United States government," the statement noted, adding that the complaint is the largest forfeiture action in the history of the Department of Justice. The CVERC highlighted that the U.S. government has not disclosed in the indictment how it obtained access to the funds, and claimed that the U.S. has been in control of those assets for more than a year, citing Arkham data. According to Arkham data, an address labeled LuBian.com hacker, wow, it's just being really upfront, sent 120,576 BTC, almost its entire holdings, to an address labeled U.S. government. Chen seized funds in a single transaction on July the 5th, 2024. The CVERC said that the stolen Bitcoin on the LuBian hacker's address had remained dormant for nearly 4 years following the hack, until the funds were fully taken over by the United States government last year. CVERC said the long dormancy of the stolen Bitcoin before the U.S. seizure is clearly inconsistent with the nature of ordinary hackers who are eager to cash out and pursue profits. It's more like a precise operation orchestrated by a state-owned hacking organization. The CVERC said that Xi and his Prince Group repeatedly sent messages to the hacker address via Bitcoin transactions of roughly $23 each, pleading for the return of the stolen BTC and offering a reward, but received no response. The report adds a geopolitical dimension to one of the most mysterious crypto thefts in history. According to Arkham, the batch of LuBian-derived Bitcoin holdings accounts for at least 39% of all of the 326.5 Bitcoin held in government-associated addresses. Nah, this is a typo, because 326 Bitcoin is a lot less than what we've been talking about here. So just it's a typo. We'll just deal with it. Held in U.S. government-associated addresses at the time of publication. The U.S. President Donald Trump recently declared that the U.S. is, quote, far ahead of China and everybody else in cryptocurrency adoption. Quote, China is getting into it in a very big way right now. He said in an interview with CBS News, 60 Minutes on, or CBS News's, it's hard to say that word, 60 Minutes, the CBS News publication on November the 2nd. There, I've been able to successfully get through this. So the Chinese government is accusing the United States government of being behind the hack of the LuBian coins. That's what's going on here. Just directly. Not kind of, not like, we're going to find some nice language so that we don't really, no, they're just saying you guys stole that Bitcoin. This is a first. I've been in this space since 2015. I've never heard one government accuse another government of stealing their Bitcoin. This is actually, it's kind of amazing. I cannot wait to see where this goes, but we've got to go down south to Brazil right now with CoinDesk. And who's writing this one? Let's see here. It's Francisco Rodriguez is writing about Brazil's central bank sets crypto rules and establishes up to $7 million capital bar for firms. Let's find out what that means. Brazil's central bank issued its most sweeping crypto regulation to date, creating a formal licensing regime for service providers and classifying a broad range of crypto activities as subject to foreign exchange and capital market rules. The framework introduces 3 resolutions, and they define how crypto businesses must operate in South America's largest economy, how much capital they must hold, and how international crypto transactions will be treated under law. The rules take effect on February the 2nd, and existing companies have 9 months from then to comply. The regime marks Banco Central do Brasil's most comprehensive attempt yet to govern its fast-growing but largely unregulated crypto sector. While the central bank has floated various proposals since 2019, progress has been halting due to institutional friction and industry resistance. The challenge was finding a way to unite innovation and security, Gilnu Vivan, the bank's director of regulation, said at a press conference, according to local news outlet Portal do Bitcoin. The crypto market depends heavily on technology and has very important obligations related to, of course, anti-money laundering. All of this requires guarantees that it will be well executed. Now, that's a direct quote. Some of the bank's regulations, including capital requirements and timescale, came under attack from the crypto industry. Companies in the industry will need to hold a minimum of 10.8 million reais or reais. I don't know. They're however you pronounce REAIS. That's the name of the Brazilian dollar. It's about $2 million in US money. Okay, so we're talking 2 million USD here. And they have to hold that in capital, the bank said. Now, depending on the type of business, some companies will need to hold at least 37.2 million reais or whatever, and that's well above the 1 million to 3 million reais proposed during the public consultation phase. Yeah, quite a bit more. 10x more. Actually, what, 10 like 10 and a half x, man. This is a lot. They just jacked that number right on up there. It just shows that they don't care about public consultation. They'll tell the public they're going to do one thing, and they don't care. They never intended to have it that low. They were going to make sure that they had a whole bunch of money that they can seize. I guarantee you that's what this is. They want to make sure that they've got a lot of money that they can seize for whatever reason. They don't want to be playing around in the sandbox with 1 to 3 million reais. They want 37 million. All right, so here we go. Bernardo Sir, president of the Brazilian Association of Crypto Economy, called the framework positive and necessary, but criticized both the capital bar and the short window for achieving compliance, which he said would deter competition. Firms that fail to meet the compliance deadline, which includes providing capital levels, cybersecurity controls, customer due diligence practices, and risk assessments, will be barred from operating altogether. Foreign companies active in the country must establish a local entity and transfer operations under that structure. The rules establish a new type of business entity, sociedades prestadoras de servicios de activos virtuales, or virtual asset service provider. Quite a mouthful. Which must now be licensed by the central bank and are divided into three categories based on the services they offer. They are either intermediaries, custodians, or brokerages. The framework also brings several types of crypto transactions, including those involving stablecoins within Brazil's foreign exchange and cross-border capital control regime. These include international payments with cryptocurrencies, transfers to and from self-custody wallets, and crypto to fiat transactions. Firms authorized to operate in Brazil's FX or foreign exchange markets, including VASPs, may conduct these transactions, but with restrictions that include a cap of $100,000 US per transaction. Starting May 4th, they will have to report these transactions monthly to the central bank with details, including client details, asset type, amount in reais, and links between counterparties. They want to know everything, man. They want to know where you live. They want to know the other counterparty where they live. They want to know how much. It's just surveillance. We've just turned into the entire world, through the apathy of the citizenry of the world, has turned into a giant surveillance globe. It's our fault. We never pressed back on these people to the point that they are physically terrified to walk in the street. Until that happens, they will tell us precisely what we can and cannot do. I wish it was different, but the human psychology demands that fear is part of the way that you make your judgments. If you are really not feeling safe around your citizenry, then that means that you will probably be doing everything that you can to do right by that citizenry so that you don't have to be terrified walking down the street in Brazil or Washington, D.C. or anywhere on the planet. But until such time that these people do become terrified of the citizenry that they say they represent, then all bets are off and they're going to do whatever the hell they want us to do. And that makes me feel dirty, which makes me thankful for Soap Miner over at soapminer.com. Get your 100% beef tallow soap over at soapminer.com. That's soapminer.com. He's got all manner of handmade 100% beef tallow based soap. Cedarwood, pine tar, goat's milk, lemongrass, orange clove, lavender, tea tree. Oh man, that's some good stuff right there. Peppermint, Earl Grey, redacted. He's got body balms. He now has deodorants. He's got all kinds of neat stuff, and he makes it all himself. And he sells it for Bitcoin, because if you're not selling it in Bitcoin, you're not in the Circle P. This is the Circle P. It is open for business. It's where I bring plebs with goods and services just like you to plebs just like you that want to buy said goods and services, but you're going to be buying it in Bitcoin. And you can do that at soapminer.com. These bars of soap, by the way, last. I got a family of 4. I've got one bar of soap that's lasted almost 2 months. It's now on its last legs. Finally. But after 2 months, a $7.50 bar of soap, which, hey, you're going to be buying in Bitcoin, but he does put USD on his website, has lasted 2 months. I can't get that kind of performance out of anything that I can find at a regular grocery store or Walmart or anything like that. If you want performance with your soap, if you want to make sure that it's clean soap, you're going to go to soapminer.com, and then you're going to use Bitcoin, and in the coupon code, you're going to get 10% off of your entire purchase, because when you do, it also lets Soap Miner know that I made a sale for him, and that's the way the Circle P works. It's a digital handshake deal. There's no contracts. He doesn't pay me for advertising. I like his product. I use his product. My entire family uses Soap Miner soaps. So I like giving people a spotlight when they can't afford to have their own advertising. That's what the Circle P was designed to do. So if I make a sale and he finds that sale was worth his while, then he can get me back on the other side with sats or not. There is no contract here. That's the way the Circle P works. There's probably much better models, but this will be the only place in the world that you find a value for value advertising model. It is the Circle P. All right, moving on. Let's get to this one. I had one of these the other day because permanent marketing is a deal. It's not, I've never really heard it said that way, but if you want to know what permanent marketing is, it is like Kleenex. Hand me a Kleenex. There are many facial tissues, and Kleenex is made by one company, yet many people will say, I need a Kleenex. That's permanent marketing. And usually it happens accidentally, right? It's like, give me a Coke. And then you give somebody an actual Coca-Cola and they say, no, well, actually I wanted a Pepsi. And you're like, why did you say Coke? It's like, I don't know. It's like that. Today we're talking about McDonald's McRib. If you have not had one of these gut-wrenching rockets, fly through your intestinal system, boy, you are missing out on just how food chemistry can jack your ass up. From Decrypt, Andre Bagansky's got it. McDonald's executive stirs up Bitcoin crowd with the return of McRib. I don't even know how this works. We're going to find out together. The price of Bitcoin rose on Monday as McDonald's prepared for the McRib's return in the United States, mirroring momentum seen alongside the sandwich showing last year. For several years, the sandwich's availability has been informally linked to periods of strength for the leading digital asset by market cap as well as stock indices like the S&P 500. The dynamic was referenced by McDonald's senior marketing director Guilherme Huynh, who said on X on Monday that the barbecue-flavored fan favorite had recently found new meaning on the internet within the trading and crypto communities. Okay, whatever, dude. Quote, some claim Bitcoin and S&P 500 tend to perform well after the McRib makes a comeback, particularly in 2017, 2020, 2021, Guilherme said. Quote, coincidentally, when the McRib returned to stores in December of 2024, Bitcoin hit a new all-time high. Last year, the McRib returned as U.S. President Donald Trump's reelection unleashed animal spirits in the crypto market, pushing Bitcoin above 100,000 mark for the first time. This year, the sandwich returns as a 40-day government shutdown shows signs of potentially ending, leading to a rise in the price of Bitcoin and other top assets on Sunday. Now, according to Huynh, McRib is set to return to restaurants nationwide starting on Tuesday, but it will only be available for a limited amount of time, as it has been since Americans got their first taste of barbecue sauce, pickles, onions, and pork in 1981. Been around for a long time. The correlation between McRib's reintroduction and Bitcoin gains may be savory for some time, but the trend is far from solid. In 2018 and 2022, the saucy sandwich's return preceded a steep decline in Bitcoin's price to $32.50 and $15,500 respectively. If the McRib's return is correlated with anything, it's likely related to a decline in bulk pork prices, according to an informal study published in 2011 called A Conspiracy of Hogs. Within the crypto sphere, the significance of the McRib's return has been popularized by pseudonymous ex-user named Intern Bra, who works at the Monad blockchain team last year. Intern Bra posited to Decrypt that the sandwich only moves markets when it returns to the U.S., as the McRib returned to restaurants in the U.K. for the first time in nearly a decade. Although the McRib was slated to return on Tuesday, there were already sightings of the sandwich across the U.S., according to McRib Locator. Yes, McRib Locator. It's a website just so you can find McRibs. Simpsons did it, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, you haven't watched The Simpsons enough. Because the sandwich's availability is not guaranteed, the website tells users to always call ahead. Bitcoin changed hands at around 105,600 on Monday, and then they go into price action, which is we don't need. We'll get to that later. McRib. This thing is a gut rocket. If you eat one, prepare to understand that within the hour, it's probably going to feel like you just ate a sandwich filled with broken glass. This thing should not actually be touched, right? However, even in moments of weakness, even me, who knows better, because I've chewed on one of these things since 1981 and they have only gotten worse, I could not help myself. And yes, I saw it up here in Eastern Washington last week, and yes, I literally ate the living crap out of one. So, and my gut railed against me within the hour. I definitely knew better. I'm so ashamed, yada, yada, yada. I don't care. I'll probably get another one before it's all said and done because, dude, McRib is the vestige. It's not vestige. What am I trying to say? It's the pinnacle of perma marketing. It is the Kleenex that everybody knows. Even if you've never, eaten a McRib, you know the name. Right? So that's perma marketing, and we could all probably learn a lesson from it. Let's run the numbers. CNBC futures and commodities. Yes, the markets are open today, except for the bond market. The United States bond market is closed for Veterans Day, but the rest of the markets are actually open. So we've got numbers here. Energy doing well. Brent North Sea up 1.5 points to 65.08. West Texas Intermediate is also up 1.5 to $61 flat. Natural gas swinging for the fences, above 4% to the upside, $4.51 per 1,000 cubic feet. And gasoline is up 2%. It just breached $2 a gallon by 1 penny for the first time in quite a while. And Merbon crude, everybody's favorite light sweet crude, is 1.58% to the upside. That is $67.43 per barrel. Palladium is up 1.7%. Gold is down only slightly, but still at 41.20 and a dime. Platinum is up slightly. Silver is up 0.7%. Copper is down 0.8%. Ag, the biggest loser today. Wow, chocolate taking it on the chin. 4.6% to the downside. Biggest winner is going to be rough rice, 1.8 to the upside. And then we've got live cattle, which is crawling sideways, slightly in the green. Lean hogs up 0.69%, and feeder cattle up just over 1.1 point. The S&P is up 0.18. Let's do this again. S&P Mini is up 0.19. S&P is up 0.12. The NASDAQ is down a third. The Dow is up almost a full point. Probably because there looks like we may actually get out of this whole government shutdown thing sometime this week. Who knows? A bill, that's been agreed on between Republicans and Democrats passed the Senate last night, and it's chilling. I guess it's going to be chilling out at the House. I'm pretty sure the House is not in session today because of Veterans Day. Who knows? Markets are open. Why not our paid representatives? But Bitcoin is chilling out at 103,220. That is a $2.06 trillion market cap. And we can buy 25.2 ounces of shiny metal rocks with our one Bitcoin, of which there are 19,947,216.79 of, and average fees per block are low, 0.02 BTC, taken in fees on a per block basis. There are 22, 23 blocks carrying 36,000 unconfirmed transactions waiting to clear at high priority rates of 3 sats per VByte. Low priorities are 1. And we are still in zettahash range. For the hash rate, 1.08 zettahashes per second is the security on the Bitcoin network right now. And if you don't know what that means, trust me, it's more security than you're ever going to need in your entire life. Your Bitcoin is safe. My Bitcoin is safe. Funds are safe. All right. From Rumble Strips, yesterday's episode of Bitcoin And, I got Nakaz18 with 210 says, live aloha, or he might actually be saying live aloha. Not sure. English is a funny language that way. Is there anybody? Oh, Pies with 121. Thank you, Pies. I appreciate that. Is there anybody else? No, I think that's actually it. pretty low on the donation side. So if you guys have any spare Satoshis, floating around, you throw some to your favorite podcaster. That's the weather report. Welcome to part 2 of the news that you can use. We're going to talk about Square again, because like I told you yesterday, they opened up to their merchants the ability to accept Bitcoin. I touched on it, through a couple of tweets, but here's the first story that I've seen. Stephen Cotte is writing about it for Cointelegraph. Let's see if we can pick up some detail. Jack Dorsey's Square has just opened up 4 million merchants to Bitcoin. 4 million merchants. Payment processor Square has launched its Bitcoin payment feature for sellers, allowing them to opt in and accept Bitcoin at checkout through its point of sale system. Jack Dorsey, co-founder of Block, which owns Square, said in an X post on Monday that with the new feature, merchants using Square can receive Bitcoin to Bitcoin, Bitcoin to fiat, fiat to Bitcoin, or fiat to fiat payments. At the same time, Jacob Simic, an account executive at Square, stated that Bitcoin payments are currently only available for in-person purchases and point-of-sale terminals, but online and invoicing options are, quote, in the works, and teased that updates would be coming soon. And he also reiterated that there will be no fees until 2027. Previously, Block indicated fees would start at 1% once the period expires. In comparison, credit card processing fees typically range between 1.5 and 4%. Square teased its Bitcoin payments in October when it launched a conversion feature allowing sellers to convert a percentage of their daily card sales into Bitcoin, both of which are part of its payment and wallet solution, Square Bitcoin. The company had previously said it would roll out the service by 2026. More than 4 million sellers use Square across 8 countries, including the United States, France, United Kingdom, and Japan. Several ex-users have already reported using the Bitcoin payment feature. Parker Lewis, the head of business development at Bitcoin and fiat payment platform Zappright, said he has seen it operating, quote, with my own 2 eyes, and bought coffee at Medici, a coffee roaster in Texas. Quote, great day for Medici, Square, and all the Square merchants going live with Bitcoin and Bitcoin in general. Bitcoiners, support your local Square merchants, he said. Katie Ananina, the chief marketing officer at tech platform Citizen X, reported she was the first person to pay using Bitcoin at Medici, the same coffee roaster. Quote, many of us tried to onboard merchants to accept Bitcoin. For so many years, it was painful, she said in another post. Quote, you literally had to orange pill the person behind the business to the extent where they themselves became Bitcoiners and get on board. Today's Square move is absolutely legendary and makes the entry point so much lower. Huge, end quote. A July YouGov survey found that 37% of 1,000 respondents in the US and UK view payments as a leading use case for crypto and artificial intelligence. Dorsey also shared a post from the head of product design at Block's peer-to-peer payment service Cash App, announcing the launch of a map that shows all the merchants worldwide that accept Bitcoin. And I was telling you about that yesterday too. They were going to launch it on Thursday, but somebody over at Square decided, why wait? Let's just turn it on right now. And they did. It's actually live in your Cash App. If you want to go look for it, be my guest. It's not your, it's like, I think it's like under the home screen, like the little home button. And then it's like, use Bitcoin. And then underneath that, it's like find Bitcoin merchants or something like that. It's not evident where the map is what I'm trying to say. You got to dig for it, okay? And if you have problems, ask questions on Nostr, and I'm sure somebody will lead you to it. That's how I figured out where the hell it was. Anyway, quote, convince your local Square seller to turn on Bitcoin acceptance for 0 fees on sales. Convince them to keep it as Bitcoin to help them better survive dollar debasement. So yes, and that was what I was telling people on the show yesterday. Every Square seller that you go to, if you see that there's a Square terminal and you're about to pay, then ask, do you have Bitcoin turned on? I want to pay you in Bitcoin today. Do you know about the fee? You know, that kind of thing. Because that, like, most of them, they may not know. They may have gotten a newsletter from Square. I guarantee you they did. Did they read it? Do they really read the newsletters from Square? No, dude, they just want to sell their shit and get money for it. So they probably don't know, right? It's probably also not being talked about very much on mainstream media. That's where we come in. It's going to be up to us to not only inform Square sellers that they can now take Bitcoin and that they can convert that directly into fiat if it makes them feel better, or they can keep it if that makes them feel better. Or I can pay them in US dollars and then they automatically get Bitcoin on the other end of it if that makes them feel better. Just become the instructor. Become the educational resource that anybody with a Square terminal is going to need to navigate into getting rid of 3% credit card fees, right? They'll probably thank you on the, a couple of weeks later. Anyway, so let's go and talk about SoFi making history as the very first United States national bank to let customers buy Bitcoin. Now, I thought that we had a couple of banks that were already doing this in the United States, but according to Micah Zimmerman from Bitcoin Magazine, I am wrong. And I don't mind being wrong, but SoFi Technologies has now become the first nationally chartered bank in the United States to launch crypto services for their retail customers. The company's new SoFi crypto platform allows members to buy, sell, and hold Bitcoin directly within their bank account, and the rollout begins Tuesday, with phased access expanding to all of SoFi's 12.6 million customers by the end of 2025. Quote, today marks a pivotal moment when banking meets crypto in one app, said CEO Anthony Noto. Quote, it's critical to give our members a secure and regulated way to step into the future of money. Customers can also purchase Shitcoin 1 and Shitcoin 2 with more crypto rolling out in the future. Bad move for you guys. I'm sorry that SoFi is actually acting a little retarded, but hey, it's not like we haven't seen this level of retardation before. The launch follows a dramatic reversal in U.S. banking policy. After years of regulatory hesitation under Biden administration, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency and the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation clarified earlier this year that nationally chartered banks can offer crypto custody, trading, and settlement services. Quote, we wanted to be the one-stop shop for all your financial service needs, and one of the holes that we've had for the last 2 years was in cryptocurrency, Noto said on CNBC this morning. Quote, the ability to buy, sell, and hold crypto, we were not allowed to do that as a bank. It was not permitted, end quote. That change, part of a broader deregulatory wave under President Trump, has sparked new phases of institutional adoption. In May, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency's interpretive letter gave banks the legal clarity they needed to handle crypto directly rather than through third-party intermediaries. Quote, SoFi went from not being able to offer crypto products as a bank to having the best license a company can have to deliver them, Noto told Reuters. Unlike fintech platforms or exchanges, SoFi operates under a full national bank charter, meaning its crypto services are subject to the same oversight and capital requirements as its checking, savings, and lending products. That distinction could prove crucial. The bank says 60% of its members who already own crypto prefer trading through a licensed bank rather than a traditional exchange. Funds used for crypto purchases will flow directly from FDIC-insured SoFi checking and savings accounts, where deposits earn up to $2 million in coverage. Quote, When you're not putting cash to work, it's sitting in an insured account that earns interest, not idle on an exchange, Noto said. The bank's ambitions go beyond buying and selling crypto. SoFi is developing a US dollar peg stablecoin, of course, and exploring crypto integrated lending and payment products, part of what it calls a full blockchain strategy to modernize financial infrastructure, with major lenders like Charles Schwab and PNC reportedly preparing similar rollouts. SoFi's move could accelerate the normalization of crypto inside the U.S. banking system. So for all this time, for a long time, I've been wrong. I thought that there was at least one U.S. bank that allowed you to already do this. I got it wrong. This last sentence actually makes, we should read it again. With major lenders like Charles Schwab and PNC reportedly preparing similar rollouts, which means they're going to do the same thing as SoFi, right? SoFi's move could accelerate the normalization of crypto inside the U.S. banking system. And my comment on that is that it probably will. At this point, Charles Schwab and PNC guys, the guys that don't care whether or not it's Veterans Day are probably on the phone to each other going, how are we not first? And you'll probably see them open up the floodgates here in the next couple of weeks. I suspect that somebody like Charles Schwab will not wait till the end of the week before they make a similar announcement that, hey, we're turning it on. And Charles Schwab is one of the largest retail people out there. All right, so they are man on the street. They are like Joe the plumber kind of service. Right, that is what makes or breaks the people at Charles Schwab is retail, not institutional, but retail, the regular people, right? So it's interesting that SoFi was first, but they are not going to be the last. But what is last for today is institutional investors. 61% of them plan to increase their exposure to digital assets, according to Atlas21.com. According to a recent survey conducted by the Swiss banking group Signum, more than 61% of global financial institutions plan to increase their exposure to digital assets in the coming months. The report, which surveyed 1,000 institutional investors worldwide, highlights that 55% of participants maintain a bullish outlook short term. Lucas Schweiger, head of crypto ecosystem research at Signum, foresees the institutional investment market evolving toward greater maturity. According to Schweiger, professional investors are seeking diversified exposure with long-term growth expectations, adopting a more disciplined approach than in the past. Quote, the 2025 narrative is marked by more prudent risk management, pending regulatory decisions, and powerful demand catalysts amid fiscal and geopolitical pressures, said Schweiger, adding that investors are now better informed and that, quote, discipline has tempered exuberance, but not the conviction in the market's long-term growth trajectory, end quote. Despite the October correction, institutional participation has reached record levels. The growing number of crypto ETF filings points to expanding institutional demand. Currently, at least 16 crypto ETF applications are waiting approval, delayed by, of course, the United States government shutdown. More than 80% of surveyed institutions expressed interest in crypto ETFs beyond Bitcoin and shitcoin number one, while 70% said that they would start investing or increasing their investments if such products offered staking rewards. According to Signum, the end of the United States government shutdown could lead to, quote, batch approvals of altcoin ETFs by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. It's sad to see that there's going to be shitcoinery in this market to a further extent that we already have, but nothing was going to stop that train either. The shitcoiners are going to shitcoin. Shitcoins will always be with you. It's like Jesus talking to his disciples about the poor. The poor will always be with you. I will not be here very much longer. Yeah, that was sort of like what he was trying to say. He's like, we're not going to worry about the poor right now, buddy. You better start listening to me because here in a couple of days, I ain't going to be here no more. That's sort of what that lesson was. But it's shitcoiners are always going to be with you. There's always going to be somebody who really believes that their shitcoin is the next Bitcoin. What they don't understand is if that happened, if any one of the shitcoins that are out there basically became larger than Bitcoin by clear and not only like clear distance, but by very certain and like, agreed upon metrics, not just like, oh, Bitcoin dominance fell below 51% or something like that. That's all bullshit. I'm talking about like market cap. There's like, I don't know, I could probably list off about 5, but let's say that Bitcoin gets blown past by shitcoin number 1 by like 5 or 6 metrics. It's clearly in the lead. It's not just you kind of think it is. No, it's clearly in the lead. The entire crypto economy collapses. Why? Because then what's next? You can't hold anything. You literally cannot just save your money yet one more time. Because then shitcoin number 1 will be supplanted. And then that one will be supplanted. And then that one will be supplanted. The only way, amazingly enough, the only way these people, the shitcoiners, have one hope in hell of saving any kind of money in their shitcoin is if their shitcoin never beats Bitcoin. It's counterintuitive, but that's really the way this works. We can't have that because then nobody can trust anything. And people want to be able to feel secure in at least one damn thing in their life. So anyway, it is Veterans Day. This is a much shorter show than normal. I just couldn't leave you guys out in the wind to twist. So do your barbecue, barbecue one for me. I did a brisket the other day. Turned out really damn well. I still miss my offset smoker, but honestly, Traeger wood pellet grill in a pinch actually performs pretty well for something like a brisket. Ribs, not so much because they're a bit of a thinner piece of meat, and that convection action of the Traeger or wood pellet grills, because it's, there's a fan involved, so it's clearly moving air, has a tendency to dry ribs out. It doesn't do very well for ribs, not like an offset smoker does. Anyway, I'll take what I can get. The brisket did turn out well. I hope yours does also, and I will see you on the other side. This has been Bitcoin and I'm your host, David Bennett. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and hope to see you again real soon. Have a great day.